Have you ever thought that a single decision, made at the wrong time, could destroy everything you have built in years of life? What if the most forbidden desire forced you to risk your marriage, your career, and even your reputation? Before you find out, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss the next contents. Elisa was a woman who, in the eyes of everyone, seemed to have it all. She lived in a beautiful house in the city center with a loving husband and a career that many would envy. For 10 years, she had been married to Marco, a solid and reassuring man, the kind of person who always knows what to say to comfort you. But, for some time, Elisa felt as if something was missing in her life. She wasn't dissatisfied with her husband, but she felt that the passion and enthusiasm that once characterized their relationship had faded. Their evenings had turned into routine, dinners, television, and then bed, without overwhelming emotions anymore. In the office, however, Elisa's life seemed much more dynamic. She worked as an executive assistant at a large consulting firm, a competitive and challenging environment. But there was one person in particular who had caught her attention: her boss, Andrea. Andrea was everything that Marco was not. Charismatic, charming, confident, the classic leader capable of attracting the attention of everyone in a room just by his presence. Every time she saw him, Elisa felt something inside her awaken, something she had forgotten she had. Andrea was not only physically attractive, but also intellectually fascinating. He had a brilliant mind, could solve complex problems with a smile, and always found a creative solution to every challenge the company faced. His intelligence was a quality that Elisa found irresistible, and it seemed that Andrea was interested in her too. At first, it was just glances, then small compliments, increasingly frequent and personal. Elisa knew she was playing with fire, but she felt a desire that she couldn't control. One afternoon, during a long meeting, Andrea did something that changed everything. While they were discussing a project, he came closer to her than usual, almost casually touching her hand. A gesture that lasted only a second, but for Elisa, it seemed like an eternity. That night, she couldn't stop thinking about it. She felt alive, excited, as if a wave of adrenaline had invaded her body. She realized that Andrea made her feel special in a way that Marco hadn't done for a long time. But there was more. Andrea's appeal went beyond his appearance and behavior. In psychology, we talk about emotional transference, a phenomenon whereby people tend to bond intensely with those who arouse strong emotions in them, whether positive or negative. Andrea, with his charisma and authority, was a figure capable of stimulating this mechanism. And in the context of a power relationship, such as that between a boss and an employee, the risk is even higher. Recent studies have shown that the power dynamic in the workplace can increase mutual attraction, creating a dangerously exciting but equally fragile situation. And so, the tension between Elisa and Andrea continued to grow. Until, one evening, everything changed definitively. It was a Friday night, one of those days when everyone seems to be in a hurry to leave the office to start the weekend. Everyone, except Elisa and Andrea. He asked her to stay a little longer to discuss some details on a project, but they both knew it wasn't just about work. The office was empty, the silence broken only by the distant sound of traffic outside the windows. Andrea approached Elisa with the calm of someone who knows exactly what he is about to do. "You are so good at what you do," he said in a low, enveloping voice. Elisa felt her heart beat faster. Before she could respond, Andrea gently took her hand, and in that moment, her entire world changed. The kiss was inevitable, full of passion and prohibition. Elisa knew she was cheating on her husband, but in that moment, the desire was stronger than anything else. She felt the adrenaline coursing through her veins, a sensation of power and vulnerability at the same time. When they broke away, guilt immediately invaded her, but the desire to see him again, to experience that intensity again, was even stronger. In the days that followed, Elisa found herself living a double life. At home, she tried to be the wife Marco deserved, but at the office, she was drawn to Andrea like a moth to a flame. Every message, every secret meeting fueled a relationship that grew more and more dangerous. But with every step forward, Elisa realized she was walking an increasingly thin tightrope. One mistake, and everything would collapse. Meanwhile, the power dynamics between the two of them changed. Andrea was her boss, and that made the situation even more complicated. In many cases, relationships between superiors and subordinates lead to devastating consequences. There is a form of attraction that is called power attraction, where the attraction is not only born from physical appearance or character, but from the perception of power that one person has over the other. And in Elisa's case, this attraction was amplified by the fact that Andrea was her boss. But it wasn't just the power dynamics that made it all so exciting. There was the constant risk of being discovered. This element of danger increases the release of dopamine in the brain, creating a vicious cycle of attraction and emotional dependence. Every time they met in secret, Elisa's heart beat faster, not only for Andrea, but also for the fear of being discovered. One morning, Elisa received an anonymous email that froze her. The message was short and clear. "I know what you're doing. It won't last long." Panic filled her. Who could know about her relationship with Andrea? Paranoia took over. She thought someone in the office had seen them, or maybe it was Marco who suspected something. And you? Have you ever found yourself in a similar situation? Do you know someone who has experienced something similar? Write it in the comments below the video. Elisa, now in despair, decided to confront Andrea. She wanted to know if he had also received those threats. But when she did, Andrea seemed strangely calm. "Don't worry," he told her. "Nothing serious can happen." But Elisa didn't feel at ease. Something in his attitude made her doubt his intentions. Why did he seem so sure of himself? Had he perhaps hidden something? Doubt began to eat away at her, and so she decided to do something she never thought she would do. Check Andrea's phone. One evening, when he was in a meeting, she managed to find his cell phone on his desk. What she discovered made her blood run cold. Not only was Andrea having an affair with her, he was seeing other women in the company. Elisa wasn't the only one. For Andrea, it was just a game, one conquest among many. Worse, there were messages indicating that he had orchestrated everything, including their first chance meeting. It had all been planned. Elisa felt humiliated, betrayed, and furious. But the biggest twist was yet to come. Before revealing this intriguing ending, we ask you to give this video a big like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss out on all our next incredible stories of deception and betrayal. One evening, she returned home to find Marco sitting at the kitchen table, with an expression she had never seen before. In front of him, his phone. Marco knew everything. "You don't have to explain," he said firmly. "I've known for weeks, but there's something you need to know." Elisa looked at him, confused, her heart pounding. "I had an affair too, with Andrea's wife." Elisa's world fell apart in an instant. Not only was her marriage in tatters, but her relationship with Andrea was part of an even more complex and insidious web. Everyone was playing with fire, and no one had come out unscathed.